All right, let's go live. Let's do it. We should be live. And you guys should be able to go with what is the canceling of the RTX 4080 12GB. And you see a smile on my face because this is what happens when, as a community, everyone unanimously agrees that something's bad. And so what we're seeing here is NVIDIA on their webpage officially. I mean, they canceled the 4080 and I had to cancel my Saturday morning just to report this. I mean, I have to do 2 live streams a month. But right, what they got right here with the news is essentially they're saying that the 4090, like you can see the queues here for the 4090, there were so many people who wanted a 4090 that was well received. They're basically saying, okay guys, we're bringing out our community mode here and we're going to be essentially renaming the 4080 and hopefully they give it a $100 price drop at least. So yeah, they're just basically saying, okay, the 4080 16GB is still going to come through and the 4080 12GB. It's confusing. The naming is confusing. So they've put together video cards, have put together a really good cheat sheet here on sort of what this specs are and how this is going to get canceled. And so we can see what we can see here, $899 USD. It was way too much for a 4070. And that's a huge increase from even the 499 3070 and then the 599 3070 Ti. So really, I expect this thing to come in at perhaps around, I mean, I'm hoping for 699. That would be a lot better, or even 749, but it looks like it's probably going to get 799. But yeah, I mean, 699 is what you're hoping for, but are we still? So yeah, and join in on chat as well. Get cozy because we're going to talk about all other things in tech as well. So come join in on this live stream. Again, sorry, I do apologize if I get some things wrong. It is a Saturday morning. Do have an excuse. Kind of just woke up, had a good sleep as well, brushed off the cobwebs of a busy week. And what a busy week it has been, ladies and gentlemen. We had the 4090 release. I had to review, go through everything. And then there was all this like undervolting stuff. There was like, don't undervolt it. I'm testing it out. I'm like, man, you're getting way better efficiency undervolting. Just go with it. So there was that. And then there's now Raptor Lake. That's on the way too. So we got Raptor Lake in. We got to start testing that, doing benchmarks. So if you guys want to see certain benchmarks on Raptor Lake, then do let us know in the comments. Just say, Brian, I want to see this test on Raptor Lake. So yeah, it's honestly, in the last few years, this is probably going to be the busiest time ever in the tech space. All these companies, NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD, they're all launching at the same time. And now speaking of this, so we've got NVIDIA here, they're canceling their RTX 4080 12GB. Great news because again, 192-bit boss, this thing wasn't a true 4080 by any means. It doesn't matter how you slice it. The community didn't like this. I didn't like it. I called it out. Practically every other YouTuber called this thing out. Every other tech outlet, tech media called this thing out. It was just poor taste. So yeah, this is a victory. This is a victory, ladies and gentlemen. A big victory for the tech scene. So do you think it will be remarketed? So yeah, in the comments, you guys are asking, do you think it'll be remarketed as a 4070 or 4070 Ti? That is the interesting thing. I would say it's going to be relabeled as a 4070. If they do a 4070 Ti, they're kind of like pulling the same shenanigans a little bit. I'd say 4070, and it's going to be really easy for them to do with the 4080. What you might see is when the 4080 12GB is released, there might be a sticker over the box, right? And it'll say RTX 4070 instead of that 4080 12GB. So it could be, I mean, it could be a 4070 Ti, but the bottom line is they're going to rename it. So its name got canceled, and I'm hoping that they can give the end user a better price and take a haircut, because in my opinion, they did take a haircut on the RTX 4090. Like a lot of people, myself included, we thought this thing was going to come in with a higher price tag. There's a guy called Mike as well behind the scenes who does a lot of digging on the costs of all the GPUs in the chain line, and he was saying that the 4090 should actually be priced a few $100s higher. Like, believe it or not, that's just the news he gave me. It was actually underpriced at $1599. That was with the 4090 and everything, margins considered and whatnot. The 4080 to 16 gigabyte is apparently priced right on the mark, and then the 4080 12 gigabyte, that was overpriced, and that was overpriced by his calculations by around $150. So you could see it at $649 for the 4070 12 gig. So that's just me relaying information from another person. No, take it with a grain of salt too. It's not official stuff, but there it is. So relay that information. But yeah, unlaunched, it's canceled. Big victory for the tech scene. Good job, guys. And I like to see, like, it's a good thing. Like, NVIDIA's at least having to react fast. They're having to react to negative news. And this is what a lot of companies are going to have to do, right? Because we've talked about this one. The latest inflation figures came out. We were saying this at Tech Yes City. This inflation is just going to keep running hot. There's no way around this unless you jack up interest rates substantially. And if they do that, right, all this debt that's out there, everything's just going to start crumbling. So they've got this impossible scenario now. We're at end game, guys. We're at end game for the fiat system, and a lot of people sort of I'm sort of like, woo, we're on this roller coaster. I'm preparing with baked beans, right? I got an RTX 4090 here. Got the can of baked beans. I'm preparing for what's this sticky situation ahead, because there's no easy way out, right? You've seen in the UK, the bond market, how they had to reverse course. They reversed course like just suddenly. It was really crazy how they reversed course on they were doing quantitative tightening, then they went back suddenly to quantitative easing in a flick of a finger. That's I guess how volatile the situation is becoming. And you guys are pointing out in the comments, 8% inflation, more like 20%. Exactly. If you measure it by the 1980s, in this article, they say, oh, it's the worst it's ever been since the early 1980s. And it's like, well, if you measured it by the 1980s standard with inflation, it's actually way higher. We've got higher inflation than we did in the 1970s. This means that when you guys start going, and me too, when we start going to the supermarket, like on a monthly basis, prices will adjust, things will adjust accordingly. And so what you're seeing here is the violent nature, right? That inflation, the economic conditions is playing in with companies to the point where NVIDIA is now making these decisions on the fly. You've then got Intel. Let's have a look at Intel now. This is a big one. Intel is just suddenly come out and said, we're making huge layoffs in the market. And the last time they did this, they were laying off 12%. So, and they're saying this time around, according to Bloomberg, they could cut as much as 20% of their workforce. I mean, that's huge. So if you're working at Intel, you might kind of be a little bit nervous right now because you just don't know where the Nerf cannon's coming from. So in terms of your job, so there's nothing to be happy about there. But there you go. So the economy is getting worse. And if they don't, if they don't tell you we're not in a recession already, well, this should be pretty obvious that we're in a recession already. So 8.2% inflation and job layoffs. So there it is. And now we're going to move on to the next topic. This is RDNA 3, the big behemoth, right? So we got right here. We got here some rumors. We got here the DisplayPort 2 as well. So NVIDIA got blasted by quite a few YouTubers. Quite a few outlets as well for having 3 DisplayPort 1.4s on their GPU. Now, I thought all they needed to do was just add more HDMI 2.1 ports. That's all they needed to do. They didn't need to really add all these display ports on there. I think HDMI 2.1, if the monitor's high end, it usually has that port. So I was disappointed to see one HDMI 2.1 on the Founders. I was disappointed to see it on the colorful Vulcan. Asus, they did that in the 30 series. They did 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. So that was DisplayPort 2.1. I don't really know because I actually haven't seen a monitor with DisplayPort 2 support yet. So the whole discussion for DisplayPort 2, I'm like, well, why don't we just include more HDMI 2.1s on there? Like, is that a big thing? Or I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, big thing, but apparently RDNA is going to support the new DisplayPort standard. So that's a really good thing if you need DisplayPort 2, which again, the monitors, I'm not really seeing them support that, but according to Carl Bennett, he used to work at AMD, he's saying that the new Navi 31s will support DisplayPort 2.1. So we're just going straight past the DisplayPort 2. We're just going straight to 2.1. So apparently the problem with DisplayPort 1.4a is that it only supports uncompressed up to 120 Hz 4K. So if you've got 144 Hz monitors and you need that extra refresh rate, then you're going to be out of luck, right? So HDMI 2.1 can do it. So anyway, we got here, Brian, you started streaming around the same time Linus went live on Twitch. I have 2 streams going to choose. I can't choose. I'll just stay for this one, man. I'm going to chat to you guys in the comments. We're going to finish up the articles very soon, and then you can hang around, ask any questions you want, and come join in on chat. So it's going to be awesome. Just stick around, have some fun. So, and we're going to go into the jokes soon because you know what I mean? Like how do you save up for an RTX 4090? Well, I already provided the solution and people are starting to unanimously agree on that, and that's the can of baked beans. So we got here the RDNA 3 though. So RDNA 3 is going to compete with the NVIDIA RTX 40 series, but this is the biggest problem, is that we got rumors now coming out, and this one comes in the form of the new Radeon card. So it's going to be announced next month, November 3rd, but then it's going to be launched in December. So right before Christmas, AMD's launching their top tier RX 7000 series cards. And according to this leaker, the performance is going to be difficult to compete with the RTX 4090. So I'm guessing he refers to the 40 series, but referring to the 4090, because the 4090 came out. We've seen the specs of the RTX 4080 16GB. It's not going to perform anywhere near the 4090. So the 4090 is kind of like this big, just in its own bracket card. But like with all rumors, I'm going to give AMD an out here. Just wait and see, guys. Definitely wait and see. I mean, the RTX 4090 surprised on the upside. In AMD, like, if we look at RDNA 2, that surprised on the upside. So things are in favor of surprising on the upside on the GPU side of things. So I'm going to give RDNA 3 and AMD the out here. I'm going to say wait and just see what they've got to offer. So, and competition's always good. So I'm hoping to competition. I'm hoping for competition. I'm hoping they really bring it to NVIDIA, because in the end, the gamers win. But at the same time, we're going to go into now sort of like after this talk of RDNA 3, like we're going to go into talk of companies having to compete with themselves. Now, the reason I haven't been too up in arms about the RTX 4090 pricing is because of this right here, right? The inflation. We just don't know. Like, everyone's raising their prices, and Intel, for instance, they're raising their prices, but they're laying off staff. So times can't be that great, right? The solution is, and the only solution is, if the consumer's taken a massive haircut, which they are with these bogus inflation figures, they're having to change their lifestyles, then companies are going to have to take a haircut. And so what you're seeing here is 4080 12GB is already the first victim to the haircut. Now, AMD, I would have expected they would have followed up, and they would have essentially, what AMD would have done is with the AM5 launch, they would have said, look guys, we hear you. The motherboard costs are too high. We're going to do the best that we can to lower the prices of motherboards. I think that would have been appropriate for AMD to do that with their AM5 launch, because from what I'm hearing, the sales are actually really poor on their new lineup. I mean, a lot of people probably waiting for Raptor Lake as well. That's only just around the corner. But at the same time, when a new CPU launches with the performance gains that the 7950X did have, I would have expected it to have done better even then. So, there's that one, guys. Let's move over now to chat. I'm going to answer your questions, so come on in, join on in. There are some donations that have come in. Thank you very much for the donations as well. We got Hijinks, and he says, thanks for the research work you provide. I first saw you doing frame times for, sorry, my chat's like half off the screen, for FX versus i5. Keep on keeping on. Oh, thanks, bro. That was ages ago. Yeah, that was when the whole Tech Syndicate, that was the whole thing in the past with Tech Syndicate. They were saying the, was it the FX 8350 was just better at the time for gaming, and anyone who played multiplayer games, especially multiplayer games, knew that back then that wasn't the case. That was, yeah, so that hopefully that video did really well actually back in the past. That was actually a fun video to make too. And ironically, I used the same microphone in that video as I did today. I actually went back and watched that video because I wanted to copy paste my microphone settings so I could give you guys the best audio. So that video sort of like is imprinted in my mind for having some of the best audio back in the day in terms of budget audio. Now, finally, good news. If you guys want to know about the audio I'm using on the stream, I've cut the dedicated video for that. So I will be releasing that within the next week. I've just got to edit the video out and get all the B-roll and all the pricing right. But essentially what I've got here for you guys is a $70 kit of microphone and audio mixer board. Absolutely incredible value for money. In fact, audio on the used end is so much better value than tech, right? If you go into the tech space, let's look at graphics cards, right? We'll take a look at graphics cards. Also, we got a €10 donation from Baz Vandermej. I can't, sorry, these names that aren't in it, sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, brother, but he says, love the content as always, cheers, and cheers for the donation, man. And we got here eBay. So eBay, again, we're going to go into eBay pricing, but eBay pricing, if you want to get a used deal, eBay pricing is usually going to be pretty garbage compared to what you can get for a proper deal locally. The reason being is people who sell on eBay, especially if they're selling a lot of GPUs on eBay, they know the gig, right? They know the gig. They know it's not good value for money, right? That seller is losing out on like 20%. Once he takes away postage, eBay fees, he's losing 20% of his money. Then after that, he's got to deal with the case of if someone gets the product and they don't like it, they can literally return it with no excuse. Then after that, if there's a problem, he's going to have to deal with it. Now, that's why locally, I've always found you get just such better deals. You go and check the product out. If the product works and they've shown you it working, they're happy to let it go. You don't hear from me. Like when I buy deals as well, I've actually won a heap of deals locally because I've called the guy up. And this was in the last mining bust. I'm actually looking forward to coming back to Oz and getting through the new mining bust, because you just message people and you say, hey, I'm going to be no hassles. I'm going to come in. Here's the price. I'm going to come pick this stuff up. And they're like, yep, come over. And I check out the graphics cards. They all work absolutely fine. And I got myself a bargain. But at the same time, the seller's like, whew, that's a load off my back. I don't have to deal with any of this stuff. I've just gotten rid of my stuff. Now, another topic you guys really wanted me to go into is as well, and we're going to actually segue this into, I think it was like someone linked me a red panda mining video. Someone linked me a red, and he was not selling his graphics cards or something like that. So why I'm not selling my graphics cards. And I mean, I watched the video, but basically this video here, it's someone with a bias. Essentially, look how many GPUs he has, and I analyzed the video for you guys, and there's going to be a lot of miners. There's going to be a lot of miners that don't want to sell their graphics cards. And that's, so I also, whoa, got a huge donation here from Frederick Skaran Hansen. I love your work, man. Keep on the great work. Thank you so much for the donation, brother. Thanks for the kind words. If you got a question as well, make sure you ask. This is an important topic. So we'll go back to this topic right here. So this in itself, right? I analyzed this video and he's got all these GPUs switched off. So, I mean, if he was so keen on mining, he would have all these things hooked up and he would still be mining, but it's not profitable. Even for a large scale miner right now, it's not profitable to mine cryptocurrency. So he's just got these graphics cards sitting here. And now what we're seeing with the gains, right? We're seeing the gains on these GPUs that are coming through the pipeline. It's Saturday morning. Sorry about my voice. It's just gone. We're seeing with these graphics cards, they're coming through the pipeline, they're bringing massive gains. And also with the 4090, it did despite what people say with the high power consumption, it brought massive power efficiency. I'm actually going to look into doing a video of maybe pegging all the GPUs to say 150 watt on the higher end. So RX 6900 XT, RTX 3090, 4090, peg them all at 150 watts, and then we can see how much FPS we're getting. The problem is the wall power consumption figures will be a little bit skewed in favor of the 4090 because it will be pushing the CPU a little bit harder. So I'm going to more look at the direct GPU power draw in that instance. Peg it, see what FPS we get, and then we can actually truly measure power efficiency. And that's going to be optimizing all those GPUs so they're not running over that efficiency curve. So it's kind of a bit like it's a project in the works that I want to do. But the bottom line is with these miners and their GPUs, essentially they're hoarding GPUs. And they can keep on hoarding all they like. But as the new stuff comes out, it's going to get better. I mean, especially in the GPU space, I'd be a bit nervous holding on to all these GPUs that are devaluing. So RDNA 3 is coming out. TSMC's nodes are getting a lot better. You're just holding on to this stuff that you could be getting money for now. I mean, if you want to hoard something, hoard silver, hoard gold, hoard something that's a forever currency. I mean, don't hoard something that's going to lose value. So that's my advice to Red Panda Mining. I mean, he thinks mining is going to come back. I don't think mining's coming back this time. I think the problems 2020, 2021 exacerbated the problems that already existed. It really just like everything just happened. Like they decided they would, I don't even know what the central banks and governments were thinking. Because in Australia, for example, the central bank is getting heavily criticized for a lot of their actions. In fact, there was like a banking outage yesterday, or 2 days ago in Australia. It was nasty. And it's just like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what's going on with the financial system. But the only analogy to talk about here with the financial system is there's one guy there and there's a massive dam. This guy's standing in front of the dam. And all these holes are starting to poke out from the dam, right? All the cracks are starting to show. And they're just trying to plug all the holes, right? The problem is there's so many more holes that are emerging now. The whole dam's going to blow. So what do they want to do? They just want to get the glue gun out and just start firing glue everywhere. That's heavy inflation. Or do they just want to let the dam blow? And that's let the whole system implode. They got two choices. It ain't looking pretty. So there's that one. So hopefully that answers that question on the miners. Don't worry, they're only hurting themselves. The longer they do this stuff, the conditions, the financial conditions out there are tough. So the longer they do these things for, the longer they're only hurting themselves. And then sooner or later, these graphics cards will come on the market. It's just they'll come on the market for a cheaper price than Red Panda Mining bought them for. I mean, whether that's inflation adjusted, I mean, whether Red Panda Mining wants to hedge his bets with inflation through graphics cards, that's a little bit of a weird, I've never heard of that before. Hey, I'm just going to buy GPUs to hedge against inflation. I mean, it could work, but at the end of the day, he hasn't got the GPUs switched on mining because it's not profitable. Yet he's buying up more GPUs, which means that, yeah, he's kind of in his thinking, he's buying these GPUs because some kind of weird hedge against inflation. I mean, it could be right. I mean, hey, whatever. I mean, I didn't think doggy coins would appreciate thousands of %, but here we are in 2022, right? So Reximus, can you do new GPU testing with the 2678 V3 for us Xeon boys? Definitely. I'll get some Xeon content going. I was actually going to test the 5820K as well because I picked that up on a cheap used deals hunt. And I got to get back into more Xeon content for you guys. I do apologize for not bringing out as much used and like the stuff that a lot of you guys subscribe for. I hear there's just so much of this stuff, this new stuff coming out. And I do like, my rule of thumb is if it comes my way, I don't knock it back, right? If someone's like, Brian, do you want to review an RTX 4090? I'm like, yeah, send it over. I'll review it. I don't like to knock that stuff back because you start knocking back all the new stuff, essentially no one wants to work with you again. And yeah, as long as you're reviewing the stuff fairly, that's all I care about. And to be honest, I've just got no akin to this tech stuff anymore. Like, after you reach a certain level, It's like, I played Dota 2. Let's just get this straight out of the way. I played Dota 2 and Apex Legends. They're the two games I hop between now. They're the most enjoyable games because there's no real new games that are coming out that are exciting me. So it's kind of like I'm at this stage where I've got enough hardware here to enjoy the games that I want to enjoy. And so I don't know, man. I don't know. So like you've got the hardware coming out, but you need the games to support it. And that's a big thing. And we're not getting the games anymore. The games just are stagnating. The whole gaming industry is stagnating. So even though NVIDIA is doing their whole massive cooler RTX 4090s, they need to deliver the games. I was actually surprised in the 4090 keynote when they were talking about Cyberpunk still. I was like, Cyberpunk? Okay, where's this new game? So we didn't see it. To be honest, the Plague Tale, the Requiem, that was actually looking like a really polished game. I mean, it was looking really nice. So that was probably the only game I sort of loaded up recently in recent months that I've been actually kind of blown back by. Does look pretty impressive. So we got at Tech Yes City. We got a new member as well. Thank you, Frederick, for becoming a TYC supporter. That vlog is coming, I promise. I promised the behind the scenes vlog too. It's coming very soon. Which brand of baked beans have the best price to performance? So in Australia, there's the Audi brand. The Audi, I gotta check the Audi baked beans for you. Audi have some seriously hard kicking Audi baked. It's like a Corral. I think it's, yeah, Corral. That's it. Corral baked beans. I don't think you can get better price performance on baked beans than Corral. Now, but the thing about Corral baked beans is they taste like, they're not your premium. Even though they say premium quality on the label, they're not really premium quality. Like, but at least they list all the ingredients, right? You got here, you get your beans, 51%. You get tomatoes, you get sugar. See, I don't want sugar in it. That's what I mean. Low sugar baked beans is what you want to be going for. Bit of salt's okay. Like, I'd prefer the salt content to be above the sugar content. So yeah, Corral baked beans is like your price performance king. But then for me personally, I prefer my Coles baked beans. This is in Australia, right? Coles baked beans. So they got Heinz. Heinz is like your staple. Heinz is like, since you were a kid, you always had Heinz. But then you got your Coles baked beans, these ones here. So I prefer them. Like, you're paying an extra 10 cents, but you're getting a little bit more value there. And it really stretches, sort of like you can sort of keep eating these baked beans. So that's, hopefully that answers that question. Actually, whoa, heaps of questions coming in, guys. So I gotta stick up with chat. What are your thoughts on B650 Mobos? Yeah, so I haven't even, I've reviewed the X670E motherboards. I've just got to make the videos for them. I'm that far behind that I can't even think about B650. But what I saw initially from the pricing, right? Cheapest B650. What is the cheapest 650? That's actually a search term. Wow. Okay, that's actually a popular search term. I mean, MSI, that's 3 man. That's in Japan, right? 3 man. What do we got here? Starting at $170. Okay. So apparently the cheapest one you can get for is $170 US. We were promised from AMD, wasn't it? Starting from $125. Where's the $125 motherboard? That's what, like, at least you need that cheap motherboard. So my thoughts on it is, well, bring out like a cheap B650. Where's the cheap B650s, brothers? We need that. So Tokyo City, would a 5900X and B550 motherboard work better with the 4080? Yeah, I mean, you got PCIe 4.0 there. You got 5900X will work fine with a 4080. Keep in mind, it's probably still going to be a 4K card. The 4080 16 gig will still be 4K. So yeah, Dota 2, what a disappointment. That's what I mean. Yeah, Dota 2, like, that's, well, hey, dude, Dota, people like unsub, what? No, like, look, Dota 2 is an old game. I'm waiting for Dota 3. Apparently, there's rumors of Dota 3. I used to play Heroes of New Earth as well, but Heroes of New Earth literally got shut down. So yeah, that was like my MOBA. And the problem is there hasn't been another MOBA that's come out that's been more exciting than Dota 2. So I played Dota 2 and Apex Legends just to quickly kick things off, you know, when I got a little spare few minutes. I like to have a game. I like to play Revenant in Apex Legends as well, because you know in Apex Legends I find people like they they just listen on their headphones and they sit around corners and stuff. So that hero, he can just like walk around and crouch walk around. And so he's really good for that. Also, we got a $5 donation from Andrew Preston. Thank you so much for the donation. Also, as an Intel contract employee, I'm starting to sweat a bit. Love the channel and your work. Ah, brother, thanks for the $5 donation. You probably should keep the $5 though, man, if you're starting to sweat a bit, brother. But thanks for the donation. And actually, speaking of what, I'm going to announce something live. You'll probably notice that there's no longer the Corsair label. Speaking of cutting the belt. Corsair have emailed me. I actually got to email them back and tell them I'm disappointed that they didn't call me up and talk to me on the phone. But yeah, they're essentially pausing the sponsorship with Tech City. So I've lost Corsair as a sponsor now on the channel here. So they cited that they're really they are reducing their budget significantly for marketing and all this other stuff. So that one's a little bit of a for me personally, that was sort of like, I'm going to email them back. I just got the news last night before I went to bed. But I've sort of like, well, you guys could have called me at least, because we've been working together for years now. I think it's been like 6 years this company's been sponsored with us. And all of a sudden, I just get an email, just like a few lines. Oh, we're pausing it. It's like, okay, you could have at least called me, guys. Anyway, that was so yeah, Corsair, they're no longer up on the sponsor thing, but hey, it's just the way the things are going. So last year I was like, guys, these good times aren't going to last. Make sure you prepare for when the roller coaster goes on the way down. And you guys can pull up some of my old streams and stuff like that. I knew this roller coaster was heading on the way down, and hopefully a lot of you guys are starting to see now. You got to tighten the belt and start preparing, because we could be in, just if we look at the monetary system, we could be in for a huge crash, huge depression. And whether it's inflationary or deflationary, that's I guess that's up to the central banks. And I don't know anyone who works at the central banks. And thanks for another $5 donation from Andrew Preston. A game industry release quality has gone from beta level quality to pre-alpha quality on release. Public is expected to do software validation to work. Yeah, that's pretty much right on, man. The gaming industry in general, people the public's just become beta testers. That's what I've noticed. Hey, let's release a product and let everyone become beta. And that's what I thought with the 4090 this time around. I thought the public was beta testing DLSS 3 as well. So get the public to test it. You got telemetry there. And then you can sort of have it polished for the 4080, the 4070 and stuff like that. Because I don't think for me personally with the 4090, I don't really if you got the 4090 and you're buying it for DLSS 3, you're doing it wrong. You'd be buying this card for just that insane performance increase, and you can turn on ray tracing as well. So I thought NVIDIA's using 4090 users as sort of beta testing for DLSS 3. That was my thoughts there. And so I'm like, look, I'm not going to really entertain it. I'm just going to wait a few months and then let them iron it out. So yeah, and apparently Corsair as well, they did something with Gamers Nexus with the power cables, and Gamers Nexus proved them wrong. And I saw it on Twitter, and they're like, we're sorry, Gamers Nexus and Guru 3D. It's like, yeah, well, these two guys have concerns, legitimate concerns, and they're showing their work. They're showing their reasoning. So you've got to just, I think, was it some kind of insulting term as well? Just call them out. You say, we disagree. That's all you got to say. You don't have to say, oh, this person's that, or we think this and that. I don't know. Anyway, Corsair's making some big hiccups lately, so they got to be careful. Take City, if Nub want PCA 5, the B650E Steel Legend is good value. Yeah, I mean, PCIe 4, man. We're only on PCIe 4. You got to saturate that. I mean, one thing about PCIe 5, guys. One thing about PCIe 5, and this is when you get an SSD that supports PCIe 5, and literally with the ASRock X670 Taichi, the scariest thing with this is that they've given you a M.2 heatsink with a fan on it. That's how crazy the heat output on the PCIe Gen 5 M.2s will be. So for me personally, if you don't have a heatsink on a PCIe Gen 4 SSD, that thing is going to literally be a relic. It's not going to work soon. So PCIe Gen 5, you got to be super careful with temperatures. And even then, do you need those speeds? Insane speeds, ridiculous speeds on PCIe Gen 5. So I think kind of jumped the gun. I think PCIe Gen 4 is going to be relevant for another 5 years before we have anything that really can saturate it. I mean, that said, I could be wrong. If we keep getting 100% performance gains, GPU on GPU generation, so in 4 years you could have a graphics card that's 400% faster than a 4090, then maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest. I mean, I think NVIDIA moving over from Samsung 8nm to the TSMC 4nm was like going from a mediocre node to like the best class node available. So that's where they got a lot of their gains from as well this time around. So there was that. Anyway, guys, we'll get asked some more content, ask some more questions. I'm going to spend the morning with my son. I'm taking him to the park. So it's going to be an awesome Saturday. I just thought with this news, people were messaging me. I woke up and there was like a heap of messages. NVIDIA literally, like, they're like, Brian, NVIDIA canceled the RTX 4080. I'm like, whoa, that's actually pretty big news. So NVIDIA canceled the RTX 4080 and that's just a win. It's a win for the community. They're unlaunching the 4080, so you're going to see this as a 4070 at the very least. And again, hopefully we get a price drop. So that's some good news. Community wins, guys. And as long as we're all sticking together and voicing concerns on what's good, what's not, these companies can listen to the feedback and instead give us what we want. So, I mean, hey, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not, when you look at a $1,599 GPU, I'm not happy. Like, I gotta think, I think I've got to correct myself with, okay, so I said in my RTX 4090 review that it was a buy if you need that power, if you want that kind of power. The 4090 it's a decent buy. It's not like, oh my God, again, drop the burrito, you've got to go get one right now. But if you buy a 4090 and you have a high refresh rate 4K gaming monitor, you're not going to be disappointed. And the value isn't that bad in this card, especially even if we compare it to a 4080 pre-2020, 2021, 2022 inflation. So it's actually not that bad. But again, I'm not happy with saying that a $1,599 USD graphics card is okay. Like it really, it's like Starscream, chucking Megatron out of, what's his name again? What's the guy? Astro Train. That's right. It's like Megatron, Starscream chucking Megatron out of Astro Train, and he's like saying, "It pains me to do this." Man, if you guys know a good, if there's also a good guy who can replicate Starscream's voice, I want to meet him. It pains me to do this, and that's what it was. It pained me to do this with the RTX 4090. It pained me to recommend it, but I had to because I just call a spade a spade. So that's what it is. But the 4080, again, 12 gigabyte. As soon as that came out, I was like, nah, man, this thing is a joke. Like, they got to correct that. I was disappointed with that. And yeah, they canceled it. So that's some good news there. So yeah, it's a strange, like, the thing is, like, you guys are saying it as well. And thank you, Jono, for becoming a TYC supporter as well. So we've got here, ask a question as well. Mowing the lawn in Brizzy heat here, Brian. How's the weather in Japan? Humid here, bro. Oh, the weather's actually really good in Japan. That's weird. The weather being bad in Australia and the weather being good in Japan, it's usually the opposite. So, so yeah, Japan's actually really nice at the moment. It's like 22, 23 degrees during the day and then sleeping weather at night. So don't need to turn on my aircon whatsoever. And so it's great at the moment. Tech Zone, what do you think PC in future if power over efficiency? You have to go with efficiency at the end of the day. So even though you've seen more power right now, sooner or later you're going to have to go back to efficiency. And the reason being is when you start going with too much power on desktop parts or even laptop parts or any part for that matter, if something has a problem and it breaks down, it's too much of a risk for the company. So trust me when I say this, RTX 4090 is pretty much going to be the limit to this. It's not really going to get a whole lot more, especially for the average gamer. And so if you're selling an RTX 4090 and that 4090 goes faulty for whatever reason, and say for instance, then there's a widespread problem, that's going to cost the company way too much money. So if you've got more efficient cards, and something happens, it's easier to figure that out as a business. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere past what 4090 levels are at the moment. Now, again, I could be wrong, but I'm just doing those calculated guesses for you guys. So 4080 16GB should be that $900 price point, and 4090 should be $1299. I mean, that's in a world like, hey, if we had no inflation, again, if we had like very little inflation, 2019 style inflation, I would agree with you. Like even lower, I'd be like, look, 4090 should be $1199. But so at the moment, what it really costs to get a GPU out and for these companies to make profit is really, it's up in the air. So it's confusing. That's to say the least. Now, speaking of this confusing nature, if we look at what's going on in the tech scene right now with this confusing nature, all these companies are having to change things quickly and make these really brash decisions that they're not used to making. So look at NVIDIA. Like, I've never really heard of them canceling the naming of a graphics card and renaming it. That's insane. But it shows you that you're going through these turbulent times and you've got to start doing the things that are going to make the end user happy. And so at the end of the day, we're taking haircuts here. Everyone's having a haircut. Actually, my hair's a little bit longer than usual. I'm gonna have to take a haircut soon. But NVIDIA is the first now to go to the barber and take a haircut. And honestly, all other things considered, I respect that. Now it's AMD's turn to go take a haircut with AM5. Are they going to take a haircut with RDNA 3? And then we go over to Intel with Raptor Lake. What are they going to do with their launch of Raptor Lake? So the 13600K is coming, the 13900K is coming, and so they are going to hopefully bring it. I'm going to be testing that out very soon for you guys, so stay tuned for that as well. And that's going to be awesome. So we got another donation as well. Thank you, Frederick, man. You like, dude, you're pumping up. You're making me like, I'm just like, I'm going to stay here and just collect up Frederick's donations. Thanks, brother. Like, I just got to keep live streaming, guys. I'm meant to go now. But, you know, it's like now I can go like, hey, son, I got you some Lego money here today, because he loves Minecraft. And so we built some Minecraft Lego. And it was actually pretty cool. The Minecraft minifigures, I know, like, look, I don't play Minecraft. I don't do anything with Minecraft. But the Minecraft Lego is pretty cool. So thanks for the donation, man. I'm going to go buy him some Minecraft Lego. Take care and have a great day with your son. Love your work. Have a great one, mate. See you soon. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for the donation. So... but yeah, guys, all right, final questions, and then I'm out. If anyone has a pressing question, because usually there'll be like someone in the comments like, Brian, you missed this question. You missed this. I'm disappointed you missed this question. So is there, like, before I get on out of here, guys, is there some real hot topic that we have missed, or really lingering question that I've missed and I didn't catch it? Because otherwise, yeah, I'm going to go. Otherwise, we're going to boost. We're going to boost on out of here. Also, sorry, before we boost on out of here, I didn't even do today's video sponsor. SCD keys, guys. Wow, I almost forgot. We got SCD keys up on the chat there. And that's how breaking the news was. If you want a Windows 10 Pro key, lock this in, grab this, use the coupon code. Buy it now. You'll get the coupon code BFTYC. Break that through and you'll get a Windows 10 Pro key for 15 bucks. Bang. Cheaper than any other YouTubers recommending you a Windows 10 key. I've been with VIP SCD keys for years. The way things are going, you never know. They might, like Corsair, my sponsorship might get canceled. So who knows, guys? Who knows? But the way things are going, it ain't looking good, right? So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I don't think... so RDNA 3 not competing at the high end. Yeah, so we talked about this. I mean, it's just a rumor at the point in time. It's a rumor. And the 4070 is happening. So RTX 4070 will happen. And that'll be a 12 gigabyte essentially now. Pricing should hopefully be lower. And we got questions. Are you going back to Australia? Yes, I'm coming back to Australia. Like, what's happening right now with my visa is the Japanese immigration office is literally holding on to my passport. And so I've extended the time I can be here. So basically I came over here for 3 months as a tourist, and then I got that extended. They were reluctant to do that. And then in that time, I booked into the Australian embassy. But the problem was If you need if you guys, and another thing is too, if you're coming to Japan and you need to see your embassy, book in straight away, because I had to wait 2 months to get a certificate, just one little certificate from the Australian embassy, and that blew me back and blew out my time frame and my schedule for getting the permanent visa. And so at the moment, I'm waiting just to get the permanent visa, and then I can go back to Australia and come back. And I just don't want any hassles going to and from Japan again. That was just a nightmare with COVID. It was an absolute nightmare. So that was, yeah, after that, I was like, nope, not happening. So I'm not doing that again. Not without my boy, man. So W3695 gigahertz, 2133 megahertz DDR3 with a 4090 happening. PCIe Gen 2, I think we can do it. I think we can do that. So we'll do a question round robin for you guys, and then peace on out. Can AMD compete with RTX 4090 performance in terms of price? Price, yeah, definitely. Like they can like if they position it right, they can. I guess that's where they're going to be going with RDNA 3. They're going to be competing on price. But again, just let's wait and see what they got. Again, NVIDIA's surprised to the upside with the 4090, especially when it came to the raw performance. So the onus is now on AMD. AMD have to step up. And so are they going to step up? Again, for me, it's a wait and see. I'm not, again, no one really predicted the RTX 4090 right. I hear people are saying 60%, but it's like you're comparing it to the 3090 Ti. The 3090 Ti was useless. Like I didn't even look at the 3090 Ti. I didn't even talk about it here at my channel because you're asking extra $500 over a 3090, and the 3090 came out way before that. There was just no point. That card was pointless. So when it came to comparing a 4090 to a 3090, it was like double the performance. So it was absolutely insane. So can AMD compete with that? Definitely. I mean, it depends. Let's see what they can do. So tell NVIDIA that the 4080 16 gigabytes hair is too long. I will. I'm going to pass on some feedback to NVIDIA, and that'll be one of the comments. I'll say to NVIDIA, hey guys, the hair's too long on the 4080 16 gigabyte. Take that thing to the barber ASAP. And I'll see what they say. Also, a big feedback for NVIDIA is the control panel. You guys want to see dark mode. I'm going to tell them that. I'm going to say, look, can you guys make an update with dark mode on the control panel in the NVIDIA thing to sort of make it look like the GeForce experience? See if they can pull that off. Actor died today. Oh, wow. That's sad. Oh, I'll have to read about that later. Dimitri, thank you. Let's go, Brian. You're saying let's go. Thanks for the donation, brother, but I'm just about to go, like literally not let's go into the live stream. I'm just about to bounce on out of here. So yeah. So Corsair said Gamers Nexus didn't know how to test power GPU. Yeah, I mean, that was just, man, like if you're going to come out and say like this person doesn't know how to do something, it's like at least have a video of your own or something, or have a full like documented thing about why it is, not just a statement. So yeah, I mean, Gamers Nexus do their research, man. They do thorough research. So especially if you're going to call them out, like out of everyone else in the tech scene, if you're going to call them out, you better be thoroughly researched on the topic, and you better know your stuff. So, but how can you measure a sauna heater? Well, a thermostat, brother. That's how you can do that. G650 G2 Supernova good enough for a 4080. Yeah, 650 watt power supply should be good, especially a G2 Supernova. That should be good for a 4080. Okay, so yes, they did. Someone predicted it right. So MLID, did he predict 2 times the performance of the 3090? If so, show me the link. I predicted 80% over a 3090, and I was wrong. It was 100. It's like literally if you are not CPU bottlenecked with the 4090 versus the 3090, it's literally double the performance. Okay. All right, guys. Cool. Misleading info by one claiming someone was misleading. Yeah. So yeah. Oh man. The tech scene. Look. The bottom line is, as we go forward with these economic conditions, I've said this before. As inflation creeps up, guys. As inflation creeps up and things get like, you're gonna see more layoffs. You're gonna see more misery, and then you're just gonna see more bickering. So if you guys like drama, then it's coming to the tech scene. If you guys enjoy drama, then it's coming to the tech scene, whether you like it or not, because there is going to be a lot of slinging. There's going to be a lot of crawling. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. And to be honest, like if it makes the space more informed and it makes things going forward better, then hey, why not? That's coming from my camp. Anyway, we've got a £5 donation before I get on out of here. It'd be more fitting if NVIDIA renamed the 4090 Titan given the absolute size of the unit. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Very valid point, my man. This thing actually is a Titan, yeah. I've never seen a GPU this big before. It's like, here's the size of the 4090s, right? Yeah. Man. The 3090s are feeling insecure. That's how big the 4090s were. It made a 3090 insecure. I bought a new Gigabyte RX 6600 new for $299 Canadian. Is that a good deal? Yeah, in Canada, that's a pretty solid deal, man. In Canada, because Canada, the GPU prices are higher in those actual absolute dollar terms. So not bad. So now there's drama. That's it, guys. All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys, thanks for joining into the live stream. And yeah, if you guys, anyway, guys, I'm going to jump on out of here. Thanks for tuning in so much. It was an awesome live stream. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And stay tuned. If there's, I'll live stream after Raptor Lake's launched. I want to see, probably a few days after Raptor Lake is launched as well. I want to see what other reviewers say about it. I want to see the sales and stuff like that. So we'll do another live stream later in the month with Raptor Lake. So do stay tuned for that. And also, before you jump on out of here, don't forget to hit that like button for us. Drop a comment as well, even if it's just like RTX 4090 or RTX 4070. Boost that algorithm. Tech Yes could sure use some help. Lately, YouTube is a weird game, man. YouTube sort of like nerfs your channel. And it's hard because this is the game of YouTube itself, right? You've got someone behind the counter at YouTube literally picking who's the preferred YouTubers. And those preferred YouTubers get boosted on the algorithm. It's disheartening because, you know, people ask me about it. I'm like, well, there's nothing I can really do except, you know, tell my viewers, okay, if you could just do this for us, that'd be great. So anyhow, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Are you getting a 13900K, Brian? Yes, I got one here, actually. I've already got one. I've just, it's backlogged. Like, I got it in yesterday. I got the 13900K in yesterday and the 13600K. So they sent like a little, I don't know if I can show it. It's like, it's under NDA. So it's here, but but I've literally got other things that I have to get done before it. And so even though I want to test it, it's like, well, no, I have to commit to other things. So yeah, and my son, which I'm going to commit to now. So we're going to have a nice day together too. So as much as the new tech, as much as I want to test it, and I have a duty of care to test it and release the stream or the review on NDA time, I got a duty of care to my son as well. So that's okay. Family's gonna trump everything. It always does. So if I get accused of a bias, you guys know that I'm biased towards IRL, and that's the most important thing. Anyhow, brothers, stay true, stay humble, and take your city motto, brothers. Better than no man, lesser than none. Love each and every one of you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out for